Today, I'm gonna give you a tour of all things Cape house snake. I'm gonna show you things like enclosure builds, a bunch of beautiful different colors, and we've even got babies hatching today that I have never seen before. This little bugger is a Cape house snake. He's super cute, comes in a bunch of different colors, and probably makes one of the best first pet snakes. In fact, it seems like everywhere you look, everybody is rushing to get their hands on these. So I learned about these Cape house snakes mostly at the fault of this guy, Warren Klein from Bushveld Reptiles. In fact, almost every house snake I've ever gotten has been from them. So back in 2021, I got my first shipment, over 50 snakes delivered to the house. As you can tell, my family was thrilled.
How much do they cost? We paid that?
Shortly after, my reptile room got a little bit bigger and I was able to get another shipment. One I had to drive up and pick up in a giant truck and bring back to the facility. This time over 450.
Is it really 450? I'm done.
And since they started breeding for us, we've been able to not only produce a bunch of them to share with our friends, but also in some wild colors, patterns, hybrids, and even a few unexpected surprises. So today I'm going to show you updates on all of this stuff. So buckle up, and if you subscribe, I'll trade you this picture of a squirrel. Now coming up, we're gonna check out the incubator and you're gonna see hatching today some of the craziest Cape house snakes I've ever seen. But on our way down there, I wanna show you an update on a little project I've got. See, I'm not just breeding these for my own enjoyment. I actually want to help establish this relatively unknown species for everyone in the hobby to enjoy. But because we don't really know a whole lot about their captive care, I'm having to come up with some different and original ideas that I would love to hear your thoughts on. The first question that I want to answer is I had heard many rumors about these snakes' cheeky little guy being able to live together and like cohabitate with others of the same species. And I didn't know if it was true or not, so what I wanted to do was I took a couple of these really cool striped pure locality animals that are known to come from a very specific habitat, which I've recreated here. Now originally I set this enclosure up for 6 baby snakes, but as you can see, these guys have been growing. So I've removed 3 of the snakes so far and we're down to 3 within this enclosure. And when I set this up, I really liked the idea of this enclosure. We have our mock beach over here. It's like a rocky beach and these guys absolutely love hiding within this hardscape. Got my cute little sandy trail leading up to kind of a suburban household with a removable fence and a whole bunch of variety for basking down behind it that they really seem to love. And having kept a bunch of reptiles in my life, I thought this was a pretty cool, sort of simplistic, but also naturalistic enclosure that is true to where they come from. But in case you're considering keeping a Cape house snake like this someday, I want to tell you what I've learned from keeping a bunch of them together. We didn't have any issues with the snakes actually living together. They did very well, they didn't do anything crazy like eat each other, and they genuinely seemed to enjoy each other's presence and interactivity. I think it kind of challenges their mind, gives them a little, social situation so that they can stretch themselves, and it makes their experience here just that much more enriched. But as a keeper, especially having these large hardscape elements like stacked rocks and everything else, I started to find it impossible to individually track their process and make sure that everyone was like eating regularly and getting all the care they need. It was very hard to check on the animals without completely tearing the thing apart to find them in all the little nooks and crannies that they're able to explore and hide in within this enclosure. It's gotten a little simpler when I reduced the number of snakes from 6 to 3, but it still presents a lot of challenges. I do think it helped me answer the question, yes, they can cohabitate and live very happily together, and I've seen a lot of pros and cons about it. In fact, putting them in this kind of a situation actually raised a new question in my mind that caused me to set up another experimental keeping situation to find out the parameters at which these guys can thrive. And this time, it's not about the perspective of like, could you keep them like this in your home? But it's like, how would we responsibly captive breed large numbers of these so that everyone who wants one can one day have one? And for that, I'll have to take you into the breeding room and show you what I mean. So if we're gonna establish this as breeders for captivity, obviously we don't wanna be using wild snakes. They need to be bred in captivity, otherwise we're gonna be impacting the species in the wild, and nobody wants that. This is kind of the traditional setup that a lot of ball python breeders use. And typically in a rack system, they're very minimalistic, super fast and easy to clean. With the house snakes, they eat a lot, which means they poop a lot. And so that bioactive soil is something I really liked from the other enclosure. And I thought that I could incorporate it here. So you can think of this almost as a compost. Look at all these little guys hanging out. These guys actually help me to clean up the sheds and poops and mess that the snakes work in an actual living bioactive, almost compost type situation. And these enclosures are designed to give the snakes everything that they had in that upstairs setup, but maximize for breeding efficiency. This setup, I think, can take a system that people are very familiar with. A lot of breeders already own this kind of system, but convert it from that a minimalistic style, let's say ball python breeder where you might get 8 eggs a year, to now keeping house snakes in a super easy to maintain, enriched way. And each of these tubs can produce anywhere from 30 to 100 eggs per year. If you're watching this video and you're a pet keeper, this may not relate to you, but for me to establish these guys in captivity, I have to think about it from all angles. What you can see, however, are some of the same strategies that we've employed that I have noticed the snakes really enjoy. So one of them would be this, we would call this a Reach stack situation. There's one right there, where they can hide out underneath, down in the soil, climb up above, and have different heating elements, just like the little fence in our beach cage upstairs. Now, our upstairs snakes killed all of the live plants, which is unfortunate because our cleanup crew and our snakes enjoy using them for hiding. So we've used these easy to sanitize artificial plants instead to give them that same kind of enrichment. It may not look very pretty, but a large, easy to clean water bowl is obviously essential. And then towards the back of the enclosure, where the warm side of the heat gradient is, we actually have the tight nooks and crannies provided by, again, an easy to clean situation to simulate those rocks, as well as providing a moist hide for them to enjoy, shed, lay eggs, and otherwise grab some humidity just like they would under a stick or a log in the wild. So while this industrial system of keeping the snakes may not look as cute, it has every critical element that the snakes need. The enclosure is as long as the snake is or better, and best of all, they get to live in family groups where they have all of that mental stimulation and social interaction. The changes, however, have made it much easier to service the enclosures and get in here and check on every individual snake. What we can do now is easily remove all of these elements and toss them right back in without the worry of like those boulders crushing a snake or not knowing where our snake is so that we can check on it. In fact, when we feed them in this type of situation, we just individually set them up in little deli cups and set them in here with their food, which they eat overnight, and then we release them the next day. The thing is, I think this might be the future, at least for our situation, where we move our baby pythons out of those enclosures and we start using them for adult African house snakes. But if you want to see baby African house snakes, we got to go into the incubator room. One of my favorite things about these snakes is how readily they breed, because once you get going, at least with as many as we have, you have babies hatching all the time. Let's see if that's true for today. Oh, look at this. Look at that cute little pile of babies. This is a pure locality of giant house snakes, as hard as that is to believe right now, that maintain an awesome stripy look. Oh, all of the morphs so far in house snakes are basically recessive. This clutch was supposed to come out with a bunch of different color morphs, but that pink one wasn't one of them. We're gonna call that one a cheeky little monkey, and if you know, you know.
These guys are all feisty little monkeys, I'm telling you.
Here's my favorite selectively bred project. Look at that little guy opening up his egg. It looks like a scene from Jurassic Park. Look at that. And there's those so hard to achieve results. And here's one of those hybrid projects where we bred the Cape house snakes into a different species. And they're even a little cheekier. And once they hatch, they get to be here under the watchful eye of Chico the alligator.
What's up? He's jumping for it. Go. No, not the target.
Not sure if they like that or not, but check these babies out. Now these ones might look normal, but they're actually hiding some pretty cool stuff going on. It's so cute to see them all piled up and they all just shed at once. This is what I'm talking about. I feel like I get to dive into the middle of these with my fingers like some kind of giant monster Scrooge McDuck into a pile of baby house snakes. Oh, this clutch is awesome. Talk about a high contrast pattern, selectively bred bloodline, but with a couple of morphs in there too. Look at these. These ones again are carrying some secret things inside, but multiple generation into one of my favorite localities of house snakes. Hybrids always make it interesting. I don't know if I'm a fan or not, but you gotta admit, these suckers are pretty cool. And again, one of my favorite projects, really selectively bred for bright orange. And the thing to remember with every baby house snake is they get more and more colorful as they grow, so I can't wait. Same project as the last little clutch, but something a little bit different starting to creep out. See if you can see what I'm talking about. This is kind of the opposite of the red. If you look at these babies, you can see how they're an incredible, dark, almost metallic slate gray. Cool pattern. They haven't had their first shed yet, but I can already tell these things are gonna look phenomenal. And finally, with my selectively bred orangey snake, we've got another clutch here, but I have no idea why there's so many different colors of orange. Take a look at these things. What the heck do you think is going on here? Some of these things are absolutely on fire. And that's just the cool stuff that hatched this week. Let's take a look at some of the other stuff we produced this year. I have been so fortunate to have so many cool snakes, obviously universally loved by everyone, like my kids, my wife.
Don't buy a house snake.
All of my YouTuber friends, and it's just been such an awesome journey. And I don't know if I even have the answers, but if you guys have questions on any of this stuff, let me know in the comments section. I'm gonna read every single one. And if you wanna buy one, I don't care. I gotta keep all of these. You're gonna have to go talk to Warren over at Bushveld Reptiles or something, because these little boogers are way too much fun to ever give up.
Would you say you're addicted to house snakes?